Right. This morning, I ended up waking up to a lot of news reports regarding this incident. I heard this incident a week ago about this woman who used to be in ISIS and now wants to return home to the United States. This woman by the name of Hoda Muthana, she basically, well, I think at the time of 19, she left her home and she wanted to go join ISIS willingly. She was not kidnapped. She was not. She was not forced into ISIS. She willingly lied to her parents. She knowingly lied to her parents about going on a trip in Turkey, and then ended up joining ISIS instead on her own free will. She knowingly lied to her family about this incident in order to join the Islamic State. Now, this has been getting a lot of controversy in the news because a lot of liberals have been trying to get a lot of sympathy for her, saying that, oh, well, she was just 19 at the time, she has a baby now, she's deeply sorry. But in many of these cases now, conservatives are actually saying that she has no right to come back in. There's been a lot of debate on both sides saying, is she eligible to come back? Should she come back? By laws, does the government have the right to deny her re-entry into the country? And even now, especially with this political climate, a lot of people are going back and forth. The reason why I decided to look up now and check up the update was because I was curious. Because the president has been tweeting that he's instructed many of his administration and many of the people in the Republican Party to deny access for re-entry at all costs, because she did join ISIS. ISIS is not a typical Girl Scout or Boy Scout organization. No, this is an organization that kills innocent people and also has taken the lives of many American soldiers in the last couple of years. In the case of her, apparently, a lot of people, apparently to her defense, basically, legal wise, basically they're saying that she does not qualify for legal. I'm reading this from the New York Times. Yeah, I'm reading it from the New York Times. One of the extras said that the woman, Hoda Muthana, does not qualify for citizenship and has no legal basis to return to the country. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said. 2014, Ms. Muthana, then a 20-year-old student in Alabama, traveled to Turkey hiding her plans from her family. She told them she was heading to a university event. In fact, she was smuggled into Syria, where she met up with the Islamic State and began urging attacks on the West. So, Hoda was not just a person who was, I would say, a brainwashed individual, but no, she willingly knew what she was doing. She was actually perpetrating and actually passing out propaganda against the United States and any Western civilization that was not advocating for ISIS's beliefs, which is extreme radical Islam. Not just Islam, but extreme radical Islam. Now, under the case of whether or not it's justified for Muthana to actually come back in, apparently under the circumstances, it is said that the government can revoke citizenship, such as a conviction for an act of treason, but taking an oath or allegiance to a terrorist group or committing a crime like providing one with material support would not be enough. And that's one thing that I actually I disagreed with, because she willingly burned her passport. Once she swore allegiance to ISIS. She willingly decided to leave the United States behind, and basically turn her backs on us. And that's what people don't want to tell you, is that. And then for me, what actually makes me question this type of statement is that how is this not enough proof to convict someone of treason? Because it's a terrorist group, because it's not an official country or something. Because the thing is that in World War II, if an American was helping the Germans, they were deemed traitors. They were deemed as traitors, and it was deemed an act of treason. But for a terrorist group, apparently it's not. Either the liberals are trying to find any way to make it seem convincible, or even under the law, that she does have a right to come back to the United States. Honestly, I think this is enough proof. She willingly joined ISIS. She hid this from her parents, meaning that she did not want her parents to find out. And then she willingly and knowingly passed out propaganda in order to promote ISIS. For me, that is something that is enough evidence to prove that she is not just a simple brainwashed individual, but at the same time, an individual that knew what they were doing. Now, many people were saying, at 20 years old, she didn't know what she was doing. She was too young, she was naive. No, at 20 years old, you know what you're doing. At 20 years old, your brain is almost fully developed to the point where you can think what's good and what's bad. At 20 years old, you know that ISIS is bad. At 20 years old, you know that drinking chlorine is bad. At 20 years old, you know that if you steal something is bad. It's not a matter of good or bad. She knew ISIS was bad. Even at 15, you know ISIS is bad if you actually are taught right. Because when I was 15, I knew ISIS. I was 15. I knew ISIS was wrong. I knew it was wrong. ISIS was wrong. At 18, I knew ISIS was wrong. So I don't know what the justification is for the liberals and the left to say that she had no idea what she was doing. She was just naive. No, at 20 years old, you know ISIS is wrong. You know that ISIS is a bad organization that you shouldn't join, and she went on with it anyway. Now, In the case of Donald Trump, Donald Trump is pushing for conservatives to not do this. They're pushing for conservatives to not let her back in. And now the idea is that she has a baby. She has a baby, many people, well, she has a baby, let her back in, let her back in, she admits that she was wrong. But that does not make it okay. Just because you did something horrible and you admit to that mistake doesn't make it okay. It doesn't give you a slap on the wrist. It doesn't give you a free ride. No, if a serial killer were to be caught after killing his 30th victim and he were to say, well, I'm sorry, I admit my mistakes, I knew I shouldn't have done that. Does that excuse him from getting thrown into prison even though he clearly did it on his own free merit? All he's doing is simply acknowledging that he made a mistake, but even then, it doesn't give him a free pass, for not going to jail, not going to court. In her circumstance, the baby, I would say, is innocent. The baby is still an infant, so I wouldn't take it all on the baby. But her choices were done on her own free will and on a conscious state. She was not intoxicated, at least to my knowledge, she wasn't. But she willingly did this. She willingly joined a terrorist organization, and yet people are finding ways to feel sympathy for her and have her brought back anyways. Because according to liberals, joining a terrorist organization is not enough evidence to prove that it's an act of treason. No, it's an act of treason. The moment that you are advocating for the death of your own country, that's an act of treason. It's not, especially if you are, actually supporting an organization that actually is attempting to do that type of thing that you're saying, then it's an act of treason. The moment someone says death to America and they start shooting anyone in sight in the United States, that's an act of treason because it's clear that they do not support the country. The president, that's a different issue. The whole point is that every time in schools, whenever you go in schools, in public schools, you swear allegiance to the United States of America and the flag. You don't swear allegiance to the president. You don't swear allegiance to Congress or to the Supreme Court. You do not swear allegiance to Nancy Pelosi or Paul Ryan or Chuck Schumer or, let's say, for example, Ron Paul. You do not support allegiance to those people. You support allegiance and you pledge allegiance to the United States of America, which is your country. Meaning that no matter who's president, no matter who's running the House, no matter who's running the Senate, no matter who is in the Supreme Court, when we are being invaded, our allegiance and our duty is to defend our country. That's our job, and that's the thing about allegiance is that once you swear allegiance to another group that threatens the safety, not to mention the well-being of your own country, then at that point you're no longer a citizen. That's enough evidence to prove that you do not support the country and that you're actually, in most chances, are going to be a threat. Overall, that's going to be the end of the video for today. It's going to be a very short one, I know. But I just wanted to bring this up to you because this apparently, as of today, the conservatives are still pushing for this woman to not be let in. What about the baby, you ask? Well, okay, I would say that, I would say as much as the baby is not at fault here, I would say meet in the middle. Have the baby come back, but the mother has to stay. The baby has to be adopted or anything like that. Put the baby up for adoption. Have her parents raise it. For something. It's clear that her parents were not in on the ruse. They clearly did not know that she was going to join a terrorist organization. But the baby, I would say they have no fault. At the same time, though, the fact that the liberals do not say that the baby is not at fault in this situation, and yet they're saying that the baby is at fault when they're promoting, 40-week abortions. That's something that doesn't make sense. But again, that's the liberals for you. Now, again, would I want the baby to come back? I would say yes, because again, the baby's an infant. He's still too young to know what the hell is going on. But the mom, she has to stay out of the country. She has to. She later bet it, now she has to lie in it. She can go to other countries, fine, by me. She can go. But the United States, I say that the president is doing his job by not letting this woman come back into his country. Because we don't know. Maybe she's saying that she's sorry, but maybe she still has allegiance towards ISIS. We don't know that. Maybe ISIS is sending her as a mole to infiltrate, government tactics. I know it's an extremist way of thinking, but you never know. Especially with ISIS being a very, very big threat, especially in the Middle East. So we cannot take any chances. Is it called being unsympathetic? I would say no. I feel bad for the girl, sure. Now she lost her husband, sure. I feel bad for her, but that does not mean that she gets a free pass because she willingly joined a terrorist organization. The child, by all means, accept the child back. I would say so because the baby is still an infant. The baby doesn't know that at that point. The baby doesn't know what ISIS is at this point. I'm pretty sure it doesn't. It's still an infant, and usually infants, they don't remember much. Even if you talk to them, they won't even remember the conversation that you had with them, even because their brains are too small for that level of comprehension. That's overall with all babies. So I would say bring the baby back. Let the baby come back, but yeah, let the baby come back, but let Muthana stay. Let her. She has to stay. That's her punishment. She laid her bed and now she has to lie in it. She says she's willing to come back to the United States. She's willing to take any punishment. But I think that if she were to come back, I would say she would just be thrown in prison, throw away the key, and that's it. So I say just let the baby come back. I would say that. The baby is too much of an infant to understand what the hell's going on. And I think that that baby is not at fault for those circumstances. But the mother, she should pay for what she's done. She should not be allowed to come back to the country. Even if she says she's a U.S. citizen or she was born in the United States, no. The moment that you swear the allegiance to another group that threatens the safety of your own country that you are a citizen to, then you're no longer a citizen. Your citizenship should be revoked by default. Right? Well, that's the video for today, you guys. Let me know what you think. Do you think that she should be given a second chance and then that, you know what, let her back in? Or do you think that maybe she shouldn't be let back in? Or do you think that maybe she should stay but let the baby come back? What do you guys think? Should we meet in the middle? Should we let the baby and her stay? Or should we let her and the baby come back? Let me know in the comment section below, you guys. And until next time, this has been The Deviant. And I hope you guys subscribe, share, look up other channels such as The Amazing Lucas, Anomaly, Anthony Brian Logan as well. No, they're not paying me to advertise their channel, but it's something that they've talked about this issue a lot before, especially The Amazing Lucas. He's talking about this issue as well. So, share this video, you guys. Like it, dislike it if you didn't like it. Maybe for the video quality or maybe for, you know, political reasons. Who knows? Who cares? But anyways, you guys, have a good rest of the day. Stay awesome. This has been Carlos the Deviant.